And welcome to the Irish Arsenal Gunner podcast. It's Thursday, the 5th of January. I'm your host, as always, Jonathan Giles. I'm joined this week by my regular guests, Eamon Donnelly and Carl Osborne, better known as Ozzy. How are you?
Hello.
And the return of the Messiah himself, Brendan Boyle, Erlen Isle's finest. How are you, Brendan?
All good, lads. All good. Nice to see you all again.
As I say, at the end of the day, there's one issue I have to deal with first. I was never dropped in my career until 91. And Terry Neal and Don Hell wouldn't have dropped me, but you did, Jonathan. And I'm not pleased with it. I'm not pleased with it at the end of the day.
This is the fifth time Eamon has walked into P45.
722 games and for the club. And now I'm back working as an after-dinner speaker, and I'll be dealing with you.
I hear sacked in the morning echoing behind me.
No problem.
Eamon is standing in for Craig tonight, so I appreciate Eamon as always coming on.
Stand there for Steve Bold.
Steve Morrow.
Yeah.
As always, you can catch our show on the Dublin Arsenal YouTube channel and follow us on Instagram, where, as always, Martin Stumble will add daily content. And once again, thanks to Martin, who edits this when we're finished and has it up online within less than 24 hours. So thanks to Martin, and follow his own podcast as well, which should be, I think, if the women are playing, I think they're playing pretty soon, so we should have one up next week, I think. But in the meantime, listen to us. Also, thanks to our sponsor, clubgolf.co.uk. They've got retro gear, retro golf gear, and use the Dub Arsenal 10 for a 10% discount. As always, you can catch on our matches in the Dublin Arsenal Supporters Club Bar, the River Bar in Dublin City Centre. So if we're hoping to get Ozzy there sometime in this year. Last week's stats are from Sunday, really. 75 views and 12 likes, and we're up to 2,790 subscribers. So going in the right direction, and I hate to take all the credit, so thanks very much. I just hope it's my good looks that carry this show.
No, definitely not.
And not a complete tribe.
Move on, next feature.
As you can see, Karen and Ozzy have headed for their P45, so last man standing, Brendan. Let's hope you behave yourself. As you can see, we're all wearing black, and we're in mourning because we drew 0-0 on Tuesday evening against Newcastle. We'll be reviewing that one in the next few moments, and also previewing our FA Cup tie against Oxford United. It'll be the first time we're playing them since February 2003. That was the last time in the FA Cup when Dennis Bergkamp scored his 100th goal for the club. That'll be Monday, January 9th on ITV at 8 is the kick-off there. So we kick on, as always, into Tuesday's review of the 0-0 home draw against Newcastle United. It's hard to say a disappointing result. I think it's a point gained rather than a point lost, you know. Nketiah's miss at the end when Pope did save well with his leg, but they surely would have won us the game. And I think there was 2 VARs I think we're going to mention. The pull on Bourne on Gabriel from the corner should have been a Stonewall penalty, and also the one at the end I think should have been when Murphy stuck his arm out. 50-50, but if that was against us, I think it would have been given. So that's my opinion on it. I'll come to Eamon, as always. Your take on Tuesday's 0-0 draw, Eamon?
Okay, well, the first thing I'd suggest, I mean, even what you said there, Jonathan, is interesting. And we're all wearing black as if we're in mourning. We need to kind of get out of that mode.
I can go and get changed again.
That's not a criticism of yourself, Jonathan. It's just that it kind of accentuates a mindset that's developed. I just want to draw your attention to the Invincibles. Played 38, won 26, drew 12, lost 0. Drew 12, lost 0. One of the ones I was at that season, because I didn't get over much that season because, you know, it was much harder to get tickets and didn't have, you know, as much disposable income as I would now because of different time in life and all of that. On the one game I did get to at home, was a 0-0 draw against Fulham, where we had 28 shots. And that Berk that played for Man United, the Dutch guy, Edwin van der Sar. Yeah. He just saved everything, you know. And I remember going away from that game really kind of thinking, Jesus, you've got to understand, you can't win every game. Nobody's won every game. So I thought that some of the reactions on our own podcast thread were almost a smacking of desperation. We all need to calm down. And I think the reason why I'm saying that is I think the team didn't calm down. I think the team overheated a little bit. Newcastle, Mickey was saying that, Newcastle didn't come to play that way, but they ended up playing that way, and credit to us. I actually think they did come to play that way. Yeah. They came to, they're a big, strong team. But let me tell you something about them. They will trouble everybody up to and including Manchester City. They will trouble everybody. They are physical, they're well coached, right? And they're at it, and their attitude is on. And I thought we were the better team. It didn't go our way. On another day, they could have nicked the goal, and it would have been very, very hard to pay back. So from that point of view, first v third, it's not a catastrophe, but it was a disappointment. That's the first thing. But I think that the team didn't stay calm. The second thing, and myself and Brendan kind of had this conversation on the thread. I didn't think we helped ourselves, but you can't double up on two wingers. You can't. It's just not possible. If you double up on two wingers, well, then the centre is open, and Martin Odegaard picks out Eddie Nketiah all day long, right? Yeah. So you can only double up on one at a time. And I thought that we were slow to move. If Bukayo Saka is doubled up on, well, then Martinelli is where you need to get the ball to, and quickly. And I just thought we were slow to do that, And maybe that was kind of because of the tension of the game. It was very tense. It really, really was very tense. So I thought the one thing we could have improved on was getting the ball into wide areas quicker when it was clear. I thought Saka, for the treatment that he got, was unbelievable. For the treatment that he got. But as I said, Newcastle will trouble everybody. I don't think we need to panic. It's another clean sheet. We weren't really troubled that much. They had one or two kind of opportunities. The penalty calls, I'll give you my view. I'm sure everybody has a view on this. I read Dermot Gallagher today, right? And he was saying, what a school teacher. There's no school teachers on the show now. Any school teachers among the viewers, right? Saying that the first one, Dan Byrne, if it happens outside the box, you give a free kick. But if it happens inside the box, that's not the rules of the game. And that's
I heard that as well today.
That's not the rules of the game. The rules of the game is if you foul somebody, it's either a free, or if it's in the box, it's a penalty. Yeah. That was a penalty all day long, and the entire panel, including Les Ferdinand, was rooting for Newcastle. He was very sanguine about it. He said that is a penalty all day long. I cannot understand how VAR didn't get involved in that, right? Even with Howard Webb and his kind of light touch, don't interfere too much. You have to interfere in that because he's ripped the jersey off his back and he stopped him from getting at the ball. More importantly, it's not just he pulls him down, he stopped him from getting at the ball. The handball, I don't think, was a penalty. No. And I know you say, Jonathan, it would have been given against us. And if it hadn't been, we'd have been all sickened because we wouldn't have thought it was a penalty. And that's my view. So, look, dust ourselves down, move on. Probably a good thing that we're playing in the Cup in the meantime. And, we're top of the league, folks. We're in a good place, So that's my view.
Yes. Elite is top with 44 points. And Newcastle's still the best defensive record in the league. So it could have, in fairness, probably did have a 0-0 written all over, but they came to frustrate us like they did at St. James's back in May when they won 2-0 and they done it again. It was the only time this season that we didn't score a goal. So, hats off. Nick Pope is a good goalkeeper as well. So they're a strong, tough team, Newcastle, and they'll pose every top team a threat, I'm sure, to the end of the season. Brendan, welcome back to the show. As I said earlier, your take on Tuesday's 0-0 draw?
Well, as Eamon was saying there, we had a little bit of WhatsApping going on after the game, and the thing that I noticed with Newcastle is they had doubled up on our two wingers every time they got the ball, but definitely we were so slow getting that ball across. It was going backwards and forwards, wasn't getting anywhere, way too slow. Yeah. And I think one of the things I noticed, I thought Thomas Partey and Xhaka came into it more in the second half, were excellent. But Martin Odegaard, I thought, had pushed up way too close to Eddie Nketiah, cut himself out of the game completely. And that's our sort of, that's our spark of inspiration. If he's not doing anything, he was trying a few Hollywood passes. Yeah. He's not doing anything. The wingers are doubled up on. Eddie Nketiah was doing as good as he could against two big, very, very good defenders. Odegaard, I think, lost it a little bit there. But credit to Newcastle, I have to say, because I think from the game we played them previously where they beat us 2-0 over at their place, since then, they've been absolutely fantastic. And I looked, somebody put up some stats on the team of the actual calendar year, the league of the calendar year, and they're in 4th place.
Yeah.
So they've been coming along. They've got a really good manager. But I was disappointed. A point gained, definitely. But after the start we had, we just completely ran out of ideas, which is why I mentioned Odegaard. But it all depends. If Chelsea win tonight, we're 8 points clear still. And it's an extra point than we were previously. So fingers crossed in relation to that game. But the penalties, definitely agree with what everyone's saying on the Dan Burn one. And I saw Dermot Gallagher today and I just thought it was ridiculous. He's just trying to make a headline for himself as far as I was concerned. 100%. But a foul's a foul wherever it is. And there's actually, in relation to the second penalty call, there's a view from someone's taken from the North Bank. And it just looked like he's gone diving in with his arms up. The second defender behind him has his hands behind his back. Now, I know if you're going in for a slide tackle, your arms automatically come up. But that's a penalty for the last 30 seasons.
Yeah.
And I think, okay, it would have been harsh to be given, but that penalty's given all season. All day long, all across the leagues, that's a penalty. You see them everywhere. So I was disappointed with that one. And, it was disappointing, but we live to fight another day and we go again. So, and as I say, 8 points clear, we'd have all bitten our hands off for it at the start of the season. So fingers crossed it doesn't, we don't lose our heads or anything. And next game against Spurs. So
yeah, that is a valuable point. The only other game we've drawn is Southampton to 1-1, and we only dropped the other times we dropped was United, which again, as Martinelli's goal stood, I think we would have went on to win that game.
Yeah, we haven't played bad in any game really. So.
Do you think before I come to you, Ozzy, Brendan, do you think Jesus was a big miss on Tuesday? Do you think he could have been the game changer if he was playing?
It's hard to say. I think he's a far more intelligent player than Eddie Nketiah. Not saying that Eddie played bad, but sometimes you need a little bit of cuteness against these guys. He wasn't really getting into spaces and showing himself. Now, I have to say, in the first half, he was making space and he was calling for the ball and he wasn't getting it.
Yeah.
Like there's an instance there where I can't remember who played Xhaka in, and he slid it out into the side netting. Eddie Nketiah was unmarked at the far post.
Martinelli, Brendan.
Was it Martinelli? Yeah. If Martinelli had played that ball to Nketiah instead of Xhaka, it was an open goal. So it's something that I picked up on. He doesn't seem to be getting the ball as much as someone like Jesus would be getting the ball.
He comes pretty deep, doesn't he?
He does come deep sometimes, but even when he's up front, he's not getting the ball as often as I think he should be. Now, whether that's players don't have confidence in him, I don't know. Could be anything.
I think Brendan, it's more to the fact that we tend to play that kind of diagonal ball to the wide areas to
Yeah.
Sackett and Martinelli more, so that they're more of a magnetic lure to give
No,
the
no,
ball, you know.
I know what you're saying there, and that those balls are always going out wide. But these are balls that are going in through the middle. He's the option to go in through the middle, and a lot of these passes are being played into the middle. They're just not being played to him in the middle.
Yeah,
It's just a little observation. So.
Yeah.
Ozzy, what did you make it to the end?
My opinion is going to be slightly different on some of these, which is good. Which is good. It creates debate.
Yeah, fight.
Firstly, I'll mention the black shirts rather than mourning the 2 points drop. We'll just create ourselves like we're like the Ashburton Army, but like an older version from Wish or something like that. They all wear black, don't they?
A more handsome version.
Well, yeah.
Speak for yourself, Ozzy.
but no, look, it was a real tough game. I think we said, on the pod preview for that, it's going to be a tough game. We're not second in the league for they're playing well. And I'm going to sort of reiterate the fact that Mikel Arteta said about, they came and set up for, that's not the way they play. They came up and set for a draw, which I think is the biggest compliment. And actually, Merson commented on this and saying there's going to be a lot of teams looking at Arsenal now and come and do that. And we've got to find a way of beating them. And that's exactly, Paul Merson made a really good point there. Like Eamon said, we are going to have draws. It's going to happen. You don't see Man City fans melting down as much about a 1-1 draw at home for Everton. I'd much rather draw 1-0 to Newcastle or sort of 0-0 with Newcastle than draw Everton at home. But it's going to happen. This is a tough league, and I wouldn't say it's a bump in the road. It's just a point gained. And I look at it as a bit of collective as well. I look at if you put Brighton and the Newcastle game together, you'd have probably taken 4 points from that at the start of it all. So let's look at it like that as well. It does happen. Yes, frustrating. I thought we came out of the blocks really. Those first opening 10 minutes, I thought here we go. We're gonna absolutely, if we got an early goal there, it looked that way. I felt pretty confident, and then they slowly got into their groove and back to their game plan, which I'm absolutely sure it took them 10 minutes to get going. But there was a few battles on the pitch which I thought were quite good. I thought Ben White, I thought had a particularly good game against Joel Linton. He's a difficult player to play against. I thought he had a really good game, and that battle in the first half was absolutely fantastic to watch. I thought the back four kept Callum Wilson quite quiet as well. We said about him before as a danger, and I thought they dealt with him quite well. So I'm not going to give credit to Newcastle. They defended well. You can't, I'm not going to sit here and say that it was all about Arsenal, because actually I thought that was one of the best defensive displays I've watched all season on in the Premier League. And let's give them credit for that. And I think Eddie Howe's done a great job there. Going to talking about Eddie Nketiah, there was a couple of moments I thought he was fantastic. There was one where in the first half where he rolled Shaw on about the halfway line. When on an amazing run, slips it into Xhaka, who should have scored or hit the target at least. I expected a goal from that. I really did. And that for me showed that Eddie's got a bit more than just his striker. He did a bit. If Jesus would have been doing that, we'd have been talking about it now. But I feel because it's Eddie, we probably don't, because he showed strength there. He rolled a strong defender. He played against two of the hardest centre halves in the league. And I thought he'd done well. And again, his turn and his shot in the second half from Eddie Nketiah, he could not do any more than that. He really couldn't have done any more. He's a world-class save from Pope, and he done everything right. And that ball didn't go in, but he's a fantastic shot and cracking goalkeeping. I thought they tried to bully us. I think I said in the pod, in the thread, in our WhatsApp thread, but I like the fact that we didn't roll over. When I think probably this time last season, we showed we're a bit when teams came to sort of try and bully us. I feel sometimes we fell short, and I thought we actually we reacted to that. We didn't lose. I took quite a few positives from that. It was a point gained in my eyes, and just move on to the next one. And we've got the North London derby coming up as the next Prem game. We've got a game against Oxford in between. The interesting one is like when we do go to the previews, who's going to start up front against Oxford? That's an interesting question to ask. But for me, point gained. As for the penalties, just briefly covering that, kind of with the fact that shirt pull definitely a pen. it's a 50-50. I thought it'd been a soft penalty for giving a handball. Personally, that's just my opinion. But yeah, I'm saying certainly
It's all about.
Yeah, the shirt pull for me was 100%. How that can't be given, and I think we'll read in 6 months' time when they say VAR should have intervened, just like they did with the Martinelli when they came out and said they'd made an error. I think we'll hear that story in a couple of months as well, where when they think we've forgotten about it, and we still haven't, because it still cuts deep. We still talk about it every time. That's where we're at in terms of them. Overall, great defensive play by Newcastle, so credit to them for that. And we didn't get caught on a set piece, and we got to look at that. And they didn't grab a goal from us either. So let's take a positive from that. Yeah. We got a point, and let's move on.
Yeah, but you're just on the second penalty. I mean, look, it's no surprise that we didn't get it. We haven't been getting decisions since the 1930s. Brian Clough said about the Invincibles, nobody likes the Arsenal, but you have to marvel at the football they play.
Yeah,
that tells you a lot. The Referees Association is Northwest of England enclave. They don't like us. We were the Bank of England club back in the 1930s. We've all that history. But what I would say to you is this. I don't think it was a penalty. If I was playing football and it'd been given against me, I'd go crackers. But just as you were talking there, Ozzy, I remember we were away at Old Trafford a number of years ago, and Gael Clichy slid along the ground and the ball hit his arm as it was being crossed. I mean, he slid along the ground. I mean, what are you going to do when you're sliding along the ground? Where is your arm going to be? Unless you're doing bobsleighing, your arm is going to be on the ground, and it hits his arm, and Man United get a penalty and beat us 1-0.
So should we just call it an Old Trafford penalty?
The usual.
Yeah, well, exactly. Well, I just think a bit of siege mentality might be a bad thing in the long run. We had it under George, we had it under Arsene in the early days, and a bit of siege mentality mightn't be a bad thing. So, let's take the point and move on. Absolutely.
I think the pressure we put on Newcastle in the last 5-10 minutes there shows the hunger that's in that side. They go out expecting to win now. And even the fans feel it. Which it's a great feeling. And it's
Jonathan, one more point. I don't know whether people remember in 97, 98. Early doors in the season, around October. I remember I was actually at Bohemians, and I was watching Arsenal and Villa at half time, and that Paul Scholes doppelganger, what was his name? Paul Durkin, the referee.
Yeah, Paul Durkin.
Emmanuel kind of went, that can't be, and he put his hands on the referee's chest, and he was red carded, and we got a 0-0 draw against Villa. We should be used to that. The younger supporters don't remember that. We should be used to that. And what we've got to do now is turn that into a positive and say, we're the Arsenal. We're on the move again. Nobody likes it, but we're just going to keep on the move, It's the way it's got to be.
Well, I think that's what everyone's agreeing with at the moment, aren't they? No one's really too downhearted. We're like, right, let's just shake it off and go again. Right. So.
Well, I saw something on the trade, Brendan, the other night saying we need 3 new attackers.
Well, the one thing I will bring up is that Arteta has been taken off his centre forward on 70 minutes all season, and Eddie Nketiah has now played 90 minutes on the trot.
Yeah.
Because there's nobody else to bring on. So we do need something there.
We don't need 3 new attackers.
No, of course not. But everyone knows he's looking for a winger. I think we need a centre forward, obviously, as well.
I think Martinelli's going to be your solution there.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah. Even call back Balogun. Yeah, Balogun's on fire for
Balogun's gone this season.
He won't. They won't call him back because he's doing too well.
Yeah. He's flying though, isn't he?
But whoever you bring in,
Sorry?
And that's it. Whoever you bring in is going to only stifle him next season, because we pay 50 million for a striker. You bring Balogun back, he's further down the pecking order. So
Balogun is your 30 million signing striker next season, folks.
100%.
Yeah.
If you get Smith Rowe back, who's back in training now. Martinelli can push central. I'm all for playing Martinelli as a striker. He can head the ball as well.
He can do it. He can do it, definitely. But
we saw against Brighton that fourth goal he scored. The way he can run up players, he's not afraid. He's bullish as well, isn't he? There's a bit of fight about the lad as well. Yeah.
Good,
They're all strong. They're all strong up top. Even Saka has meted up, and you know, Martinelli and Saka are a lot stronger than they were a couple of years ago. So
big time. Yeah. And I think the last couple of seasons has grown them as players. You know, they're not sulking. They're just getting on with them. You know, they miss one chance, head up.
Yeah, you look at like that Saka little nudge on Declan Rice. Declan Rice is twice the size of him. Saka knocked him well off. So,
like as he said,
they're not boys anymore.
Taking 7 points from 3 games in 7 days, 8 days. That's, you know, you would have bitten anyone's arm off after that 6-week World Cup break, wouldn't you? So, you know, when you can, I think everyone's dropping points left, right, and centre now, aren't they? In the last
I just wish, and I think Carl shares my view on this. I just wish people had stopped thinking that football is like a game of FIFA Manager, and that every time we drop a couple of points, we need to spend 200 million on 3 players. And if the owners don't do well, then they're not stepping up to the plate. Sweet Jesus, we've spent so much time burning the house down and rebuilding it. Would you like another club to come in for Martinelli? No. Would you like another club to come in for Smith Rowe? No. Would you like another club to come in from Saka? No. We have them. We have them. And everybody forgetting about Smith Rowe. Smith Rowe was almost back to full fitness, and he is a serious player, and he gives us loads of different options and loads of different.
Top scorer last season.
I'll have you know, Eamon, I've got Football Manager 23 for Christmas, and I've just won the Champions League with Eddie Nketiah as my reserve striker. So look, I'm just saying, you know, I didn't need money.
Ozzy, was it 2023 or 1923? Arsenal are there smoking a pipe, and here goes. It's the FA Cup final. Hurrah!
Champions League with Eddie Nketiah as backup, and I'm sticking by that. I'll strengthen the midfield, actually. I've got a Partey replacement. I won't say who I got, but I've got Partey.
Good man.
I can see Ozzy with one of those clappers in his hands.
There you go. 10 years time, I'll be on that bench. You watch.
Did you ever see the Harry Enfield and Chum sketch? Arsenal 1930s versus Liverpool 1988. Have you ever seen that? Look it up on YouTube. Like Arsenal are smoking pipes, and here's Charles with the ball. He's the ball type.
I know what you're on about now.
Yeah. And John Barnes is running around, and we. So look, we know what we're doing.
Yeah, it was definitely a point gain more than a point dropped. I think we'll all agree from Tuesday.
Well, 2 points dropped.
Well, yeah, it's a point gain. I would have loved to win, but look, there we go.
No, I disagree. I don't think it was a point gained. I think it was 2 points dropped. But the reality is, you're going to get games where you drop 2 points. And as I said on the show the other day, when it comes to that, if it's not going your way and it doesn't go like hampers and roses, if you're not going to win the game, don't lose it.
Don't lose it. Yeah,
absolutely.
It's the name of the game, isn't it? Yeah. If you can't win it, don't lose it. Yeah. I would have liked to see, before we move on to the preview of the Oxford game, would have liked to see him bring on Fabio Vieira. I think he might have added something.
It's a very good point.
I think he's got a creative spark in him that he could have,
Well, as I said, Odegaard weren't really doing much.
I think where Arteta's afraid there, I don't think he sees him as he's built enough for that position.
Full cup, doesn't he?
Full cup, yeah. Do you agree?
Yeah, that was the point I was going to make. I think Newcastle were so physically robust.
Yeah.
I mean, the person you would have brought him on for would have been Odegaard.
Yeah.
Your man of the match, Eamon, on Tuesday?
Zinchenko.
Let's go too.
Zinchenko was brilliant. He was absolutely brilliant. Yeah. He was non-stop in possession, non-stop movement. He tried he was trying to do what he normally does, even though he was facing a brick wall. And I thought he was exceptional.
Even Gary Neville, Jordan, the post-match, was giving him praise the way he moves about the pitch, which is it's rare you see Neville ever giving us anything. Brendan, your man of the match?
Thomas Partey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thought he was absolutely immense.
Good choice.
Absolutely immense. Really, really good from the first minute to the last minute.
Good choice. Good choice.
Just really, really good.
He's improving game on game, isn't he?
Yeah. Well, he's not. My biggest criticism of him was his passing. Like his passing was very wayward a lot of the time, but that seems to have he's really nailed it, and you don't see too many wayward passes coming from him anymore. So that's something I'm really happy about.
So I think he did send a wayward shot over the bar, didn't he?
Well, there's quite a few on that one.
I don't think he's put a foot wrong really this season with him and himself and Jackie in the midfield.
If Declan Rice was in our squad at the moment, he wouldn't get into the team because the only place Declan Rice can play is where Thomas Partey plays, and he can't do that job.
And that's a compliment in itself, Eamon, the way Rice has played, isn't it? Yeah. Ozzy, your man of the match from Tuesday?
That's one different. I'm going to go Gabriel. I thought he was solid.
Switched out as well, yeah.
He was solid. And he dealt with Almiron. Callum Wilson's a tricky player, as we said. I don't think he did very well, but I thought he dealt with whatever thrown at him. I thought he dealt with really well. Gabriel for me, warrior, in that game, as I think they called him. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd probably give it to Eddie and Ketty and myself for just constantly trying, and that chance at the end, if that touch to kill the ball, and he was just very unlucky that it didn't. Any other game, he probably would have went in the far corner. Yeah, but just those 3 games that he's played since the restart, I think there's a different player there I've seen than the first half of the season.
Yeah.
He stepped up, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Here's a thought, Jonathan. Right, we picked 4 different players from, a stalemate.
Yeah.
Okay. Normally, if it was a stalemate, you'd be saying, "Well, did anybody stand out?"
Yeah.
Brendan thinks quite rightly Thomas Partey stood out. I think Zinchenko stood out. Ozzy thinks Gabriel stood out, and you think Eddie and Ketty stood out. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Well, no one's playing bad across. For the last number of games.
Yeah.
There hasn't been a bad player on the pitch.
Yeah.
Which is a great credit to all of them.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
And that's why they're top of the table.
And the passion that Arteta showed at the very end for that could have been pen.
Absolutely love it.
I love this. I love his, and even getting in front of Eddie Howe and I would have loved to see him give him a smack.
Yeah, like I said, this is our house, so he can do what he wants. So
the crowd is well behind him now. The crowd is behind Arteta now. They believe.
Got to be.
You can see that this big name manager Malarkey, whoever mentioned that earlier on. I'm looking at Eamon.
Having a clue, Jonathan. Having a clue, Bill.
We haven't heard Eamon saying his favourite catchphrase yet, has he?
It will come out. It will come out.
That draw leaves us top with 17 played, 14 wins, 2 draws, 1 defeat, 40 scored, and 14 conceded, which is brilliant. We're second with the most clean sheets, just behind Nick Pope. In Ramsdale has 8, and Pope is 10 at the moment. And 44 points, 8 cleared as it stands at the moment. Is it still 0-0, lads, between City and Chelsea? I think it is.
Yeah.
I'll let you know. I'm just looking now. Bear with me. I feel like Chris Kamara. 0-0.
0-0. So the title is ours.
It's 0-0 over in Ireland as well, Carl.
Is it? What time difference? I didn't know. I'll tell you what, lads. I'll let you know when it goes in. So you get ahead of yourself.
5 minutes later, we can get it in black and white.
And for all the listeners, Brendan is in Ireland. Just to say that,
Yeah. I'm in Dublin.
So
I'll let you know if they score. You can stick a bet on, mate. Yeah.
I'm glad we've got that cleared up. Both sides of the water. It's 0-0, folks. Are you listening? Just in case Ozzy's putting a fast one on us, it is 0-0. So the next game, of course, in the league for us is against the Phils, Spurs themselves.
No, we don't use that term. We don't use that term on this show. No, we don't. I've said this before. We're an adult show. I can't stand
I
them.
don't know.
I'm not sure about that.
No, I can't stand them, but I don't like that term. I just don't like it, you know.
It's the Filth FC. They're
No,
called.
it's not the Filth FC. The Filth FC in another era could be Man United. You know, I mean, it's
I know it's no with respect.
It's immature. It's a decline.
It's
and
Seven Sisters.
Seven Sisters FC. We hate them. We know that.
I don't like anybody.
I don't know.
No, Brendan.
That will be a tough game.
I made the point before. We go around quite arrogantly, in my view, like thinking that we have class. And we do. Well, if we have class, don't lower ourselves to that tone. Seriously.
I'm with you, Eamon. I never call them that anyway.
Yeah, I think the host of the show needs admonishment over that. And probably you need to suspend yourself.
Right, I can safely say Eamon has walked into the 6th red card of his time on this. I don't know what the suspension is, Brendan.
I think it's a week on Spike Island or something, you know.
I don't know. Could be Ward is getting at this one. No, we play Tottenham Hotspur to pronounce.
Sisters FC.
That will be a tough game.
Don't worry about that. That's next week's show.
I can see Harry Kane getting a hat trick. No, it's 3-0 written all over to Arsenal, so we'll edit that out. Okay, we'll discuss that next week. I don't want to predict anything on that one. We move on to the FA Cup, which is coming up on Monday night. As I said, Oxford United away. 8 o'clock live on ITV. The last time we played them was February 2003 when Bergkamp scored and a McNiven OG. It was Bergkamp's 100 goal for us that day. It'd be interesting, as Ozzy said, the lineup for that one on Monday. I take it that a lot of the fringe players will get a run out in this one.
I think so, yeah.
How do you see it going, Ozzy? It's tough. The FA Cup can always be tricky, yeah.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see play at front. I think we'll see our League Cup side, won't we? So we're going to see the likes of Vieira, Marquinhos. I quite like watching Marquinhos. He's quite a fun player to watch, isn't he? Rob Holding will come out. And I'll tell you what, I'm looking forward to seeing Matty Turner in goal as well. I think he's fit now, isn't he? So Matty Turner, he had a cracking World Cup. As a backup reserve keeper, I think Matty Turner's doing. I think that World Cup done him world of good. I don't know how long we'll actually keep him, because of that. But yeah, no, Oxford United, they lost, I think, to Exeter in their last game when I checked on there. I did a bit of research actually on Oxford United that for League One. They've got an ex-Hale End Marcus McGuane playing for him in centre midfield.
I remember.
Yeah, he's age 23. He's from Hale End. He left Arsenal in 2018 to go to Barcelona.
I was about to say that he was in Barcelona. Yeah,
was he?
Yeah. So he's playing in centre. He plays in centre midfield.
Carl, it's McGuane.
McGuane.
It's an Irish name, McGuane.
Come on. I'm from over the water.
It's Marcus McGuane, mate. He's got
Marcus.
Marcus McGuane. It's not Kevin Moran. It's Kevin Moran.
I'm just calling Marcus.
Look what you've done now. Look what you started.
Yeah, look, I've done a bit of research, and this is how I get treated. But no,
Not enough research. Researching the wrong things.
That's it. I need to go.
You're a disgrace, as you didn't even get the name
right. Get your pronunciation right.
Well, anyway, Marcus, he joined Barcelona in 2018 from Arsenal. He's one of the many signings that Nottingham Forest have on their books at the moment, and he's played 30 games this season for Oxford, and he's one of their better players. So it'll be interesting to see. At least we get a bit of interest from Arsenal fans to see. Cause it's big when he left Arsenal. I remember it being a massive Barcelona have stolen one of our future stars.
Yeah.
And it never really materialised for him. But other than that, they've got a chap on loan, Lewis Bate from Leeds, his former Chelsea player, and Matty Taylor plays up front for him. He's a bit of a journeyman of the lower leagues. Yeah, and he scored 20 goals and 37 appearances. So I did a bit of research on these because I knew absolutely nothing about Oxford up until 2 days ago. So Google's been my friend. Look, I think we'll see.
He's got a decent keeper, Freddie Woodman. Is that his name? Freddie Woodman.
Freddie Woodman. I don't know if you say he hasn't played there, playing with McGinty.
Actually, he could have been.
Have I said that right,
paid
McGinty? Have I
$2,000.
said McGinty right? I don't know. Anything, I'm just worried about saying any names now.
That's the ground. The Sam Stadium is the ground where there's no sand on one end, isn't it? You look into a car park, I think, down one end of it. If I'm right. So.
Yeah. So look, I think you know it's a cup game. I'm expecting an Arsenal win. It's on a Monday night. I think it's Monday night, isn't it? 8 o'clock, is it?
Yeah.
That's terrible for away fans because I think that'd have been a cracking away fixture in Oxford.
There's a train strike as well, yeah.
Oxford would have been a cracking day out. But yeah, I'm going to give my prediction now, and I'll shut up now if I put my foot in it anymore. But yeah, I think a 3-0. I'm going 3-0 win to Arsenal. I'm expecting us to put a good performance in and get through to the next round.
Can we get that surname again? I didn't hear it again.
Marcus McGuane.
Thank you.
Marcus.
Marcus, are you listening? We got your name there. Eamon, how do you see the game going? Do you see French players starting? It's a must, really, isn't it?
Look, I think that the lineup will be what it is. I'm not sure Matt Turner will play and go, because Ramsdale is minding that hamstring, and it just might be a situation where they might bring the young Estonian lad in. You know, and he is a very good goalkeeper, folks. Watch out for him. He's a very, very good goalkeeper. But it'll be along the lines of kind of Europa League, stroke Carabao Cup kind of lineup. We'll win the game 3 or 4-1, I think. The only thing is, it's on ITV. I'm not sure how to get ITV anymore. We used to get UTV, you know, Ulster Television, and Jonathan, whatever his name was, would introduce Coronation Street, you know, and all that type of stuff. But the fact that it's on at 8 o'clock on ITV for a certain individual close to this show must be so frustrating, Deirdre. Put a sock in it, Barlow. ITV, I don't think you even have ITV. But look, I think we should look. This game is going to be won, and it's going to be won 3 or 4-1. The difference between the leagues now is so wide. You know, I remember we went to Blackpool a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
people might have been a banana skin. I think Joe Willock scored a couple of goals.
Yeah,
he was good the other night, by the way. No, let's just get the game over and get done and get prepared for the North London Derby. I don't expect any shocks a la Wrexham, January 1992. I don't think that, you know. My preparation for the show, Carl, was watching that game.
Jesus, that doesn't put the markers on it. No, what doesn't?
But we have a very proud tradition in the FA Cup, and we were all a bit pissed off about how we went out to Forest last year. Yeah. So I think what you got to do in that competition is you go with the draw. This draw has been kind to us. You go and win that game. If you get Man United in the next round, you pick your team accordingly. You know. So look, just let's get it done. You know.
Yeah, it's a great cup competition. I always love it when it comes around every year. You know.
What I do know about Oxford is, and I'll finish on this. When I start following football first, Oxford United's mainstay in 1970 was Big Ron Atkinson. He was a Brendan Boyle type centre half, uncompromising, right? Okay, and then if you moved into the mid '80s, they had Ray Houghton and John Aldridge and Dave Langan playing for them, which was a backbone of the Irish Republic team that Jack Charlton took, you know, and they done us 3-0 in I can't remember where they played, the Manor Ground or something, or whatever it was. They done us 3-0 in the league that year. They were top flight. But one of my favourite all-time Arsenal players, and I think Brendan would resonate with this as well, comes from Oxford, even though he's of Irish descent, and that's Martin Keown.
Wow. That's true.
There you go. Yeah.
I think that's worth the Dublin Arsenal fan pack there, Eamon.
There you go. I'm gonna go out to get my anorak now, you know.
On the mic. Yeah.
Talking about anoraks, I was actually at that game in the 80s, aiming at we got beat 3-0, and
in Oxford.
In Oxford, yeah.
Yeah,
and they had to win to avoid relegation.
Yeah,
and it was one of the most inept refereeing performances I've ever seen, and they absolutely hockeyed us.
Yeah,
and that was a team with like Viv Anderson was playing. I remember Charlie Nicholas, all these type of players.
Yeah,
and
Tony Woodcock.
Last game of the season,
yeah,
they beat us 3-0, and it was just unbelievable stuff. But so it can happen. But
yeah, the matching of the cup, isn't it? And we've been involved in a few shocks as well. Yeah.
But I can't. I think this squad is made of different stuff. So
even the backup team have got that same mentality.
Yeah,
you know,
I think you see it when the guys come in. I think he'll play a relatively strong side. I think he'll have a few on the bench like young kids, but I think it's going to be a surprisingly strong side. Even with those guys that come in that are squad players, make it a very, very strong side. Yeah. So can't
the more Europa League side than Carabao Cup type of thing.
Absolutely, yeah.
Anyway, the prediction is for Aussie's ears. The prediction is Oxford United's goal. It'll be like the Super Bowl. McWayne. Oxford.
Mate, you should have heard it when Henry joined us, mate. It was Thierry Henry.
Yeah.
Terry Henry.
Terry Henry.
Yeah, I vaguely, to be honest, I vaguely remember that 2000. I don't think that was even televised, that game. But we struggled even in that game. That was a Highbury. They played well that day, Oxford as well.
But they were in a higher league then.
No, they were still in the same league. They were in League One.
No, Jonathan, the distance between the
Don't
leagues.
argue with me, Eamon. I know.
If everybody listens to me, Jonathan, everything will be okay. And what I'm saying to you is that
it's drinking that, Sherry.
The way the wealth of the game is gone, the distance between the leagues now
is huge. Yeah,
it's huge. You know.
Do you remember that Dennis Bergkamp goal that day?
I remember every Dennis Bergkamp goal.
To give you a bit of perspective, I went to the FA Trophy game, didn't I? Arsenal under-21s versus Northampton Town's first team.
Yeah, you were saying that.
And Arsenal won that.
Yeah.
So Ethan Nweri came on actually, and although Northampton did play a few youngsters, it was their first team that started. And to be honest with you, Arsenal ran riot when they brought they actually played their under-18s, and brought a few under-21 stars on the second half, and that's what won the game for Arsenal. So I think that shows the level, doesn't it?
Yeah.
They're miles ahead, aren't they? And Weirdy's a good player, though. I'd like to see him. I hope he might get a run out actually on Monday. Yeah, there's something in that, lad. So we're all going for an away victory, lads, and that one.
Can't see anything but.
Yeah, you can only see a comfortable away win. But I said that last year against Forest, and Graham got the goal.
Well, Forest were a team on the way to the Premiership, but there's a difference, you know.
Yeah. We didn't know that at the time, though, did we?
No, they didn't sign 23 players neither, Dan. No, Forest away win last night as well. Fair play to Cooper. He's a good manager. I like him. Whether they stay up is another thing, but they've given themselves a fighting chance. And I suppose
he's not quite as good looking as Mickey Arteta, though.
He's
got the hair for it.
Great set of teeth. It's a cracking smile on him. The lazy eyes.
He's better on Radio 5 Live than Sky. Technically, you know.
He's an advert for new teeth in Turkey, isn't he?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Ozzy wants a hair transplant from Turkey.
I'll take one of them. I'm still waiting for the sponsorship.
These don't come out in your kebab. Yeah.
Ozzy says he's a cross between the two last night.
What, on YouTube? I'm just talking about the transfer thing. Look, if you put a 15-minute YouTube of a player They're gonna look half decent. Like I say, I look like Pirlo with the build of James Corden.
Yeah.
If you put 15 minutes in me, I was a fair player in my day as well. Some people might do, but I was.
I definitely can't see the Pirlo look about you, but everything else.
Ozzy, I think you're more Merlot than Pirlo.
Oh dear.
Ozzy, you're getting slaughtered tonight, mate.
John, what do I need to do to get sacked, mate? Just tell me. I'll say it.
Let's keep going.
You and I are going to have a pint about and discuss that the Man United game. You know, how do we get sacked?
Point of Merlot.
Yeah, I said you look like more Merlot than Pirlo. Another cracker from Eamon, I have to say. There you go. Man of the match performance again from Eamon. Can't beat it.
Stop.
In terms of Modric, briefly, lads, can you see us meeting their unrealistic valuation of 85 million, or do you think we can bargain them down to a realistic fee, Brandon?
It's a strange one. I absolutely love him. From what I've seen, I was watching the Celtic game, and there was a buzz that went around the crowd every time he got the ball.
Yeah,
he just looks like the most exciting prospect in European football, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
but Arteta wanted Martinez in the summer, and the bidding went over what Arsenal wanted to pay, and Arsenal stepped away. Now, Chelsea, I think, are just coming in playing silly buggers. I think Mudryk has made it clear where he wants to go. He's posting stuff up every day. So I think Arsenal will come to an agreement. Obviously, we're not party to what they're talking about all the time and the format of this agreement. But I think Arsenal will get it sorted, and I think he'll be an Arsenal player, one way or the other. Even if he has to turn around and put in a transfer request, which I don't know if they exist anymore. But he's made it clear where he wants to play. You know, you could see him in the stands at Oxford United on Monday. The way things are going, like
one of the best grounds he's been in. Like what?
I think so. Yeah.
You could go the same way, sorry, Brandon, as Fernandez, that Argentinian lad. He's refused to play for Benfica, and it looks like he's on his way to Chelsea now.
Ridiculous money.
Yeah. Oh yeah, what's 100 odd million, isn't it, for him?
Yeah, and they've already bought this guy today for 35 million.
Badashide off Monaco, yeah.
Yeah, so
there's so much money added now, aren't they?
Yeah, and I'm like, it shouldn't be. Well, what I was saying about financial fair play earlier, and no, it doesn't really exist, but I think it actually does exist in some sort of format. So you can't just be going around spending 35 million, 100 million there, and then the guts of another 180 million plus 90 million on Mudryk. It's not going to happen. I think they're just going around acting a maggot and trying to get Arsenal to pay more money than they really want to.
Yeah.
But, I think they might be barking up the wrong tree with Arsenal. I don't think we're going to do it. So, but I still think an agreement will be made with him anyway. Not so sure about Felix, but who's also being talked about. But yeah, we'll wait and see.
Eamon, what do you think?
Well, I'm going to take a slightly different view on Brendan. I don't know how to say he's the most exciting thing when you watch him against Celtic. I mean, Bohemians will put up the Celtic. Let's get real. Let's get real. Right?
You watch him and then come back to me on that one, Eamon.
He's played 50 first team games, and I think it would be outright reckless of the club to pay 80 million for that, because we'll all be hearing them when the summer comes saying, oh, the FIFA manager season is back. Why don't we get 40 million for this body, 40 million for that body, and 30 million for the other body? Because you've spent 80 million on this guy. You don't even know what he's like. Yeah. So I think a sense of perspective is that he might be brilliant. Which is what I sort of said, to be fair. No, you didn't actually. No, you didn't.
I said I don't think we're going to pay over the odds for him.
Okay, so let's
look. We have a price in our heads, and that's what we'll go with.
It is a distinct possibility, if you listen to Mr. Ornstein, right, that Chelsea won't go near Fernandez, and they'll pay over the odds for Mudryk. Now, if that happens, will we not all melt down? Because that's what Chelsea do. They did it with Juan Mata in 2011. He was our player. They do it because they're reckless. And they do it because financial fair play. They're operating on a trading loss every year. They've no support base. So FFP doesn't exist when it comes to Chelsea. It doesn't exist when it comes to Man City. It's all of a sudden existed when it comes to Barcelona because they were so blatant with the bloody thing and it was glaringly obvious. My prediction is that the lad will probably come to Arsenal for somewhere around 55 million plus add-ons. But if it's over that, I think we just got to forget about him. And I think Edu and Arteta, more so Edu, because Arteta is not involved in transfers. He's the first team coach, right? First team manager. Have been much more astute in the last couple of windows than, say, contact book Ron Sanielli paying 72 million for Nicolas Pepe, don't forget.
Yeah.
That we still haven't paid off yet. So I think the Joao Felix thing, I've been paying 20 million quid for 5 or 6 months.
But nobody, even United turned around and said they wouldn't pay that. So.
Well, can I ask the question? Why isn't he playing for his current club?
Because they don't think he's good enough. They're not playing the style of football. They're not playing the style of football for him.
Exactly. They're not playing the style of football for him. If he's that good to be able to play in, well, I'm just playing. If you're a midfield player, you get on the ball and you
I'm glad he's cracked up there.
I mean, it's simple. Yeah. Imagine playing. This is the thing that got me, because Joao Felix didn't look great to me in the World Cup. Imagine paying 20 million quid odd for a guy for 5 months who can't even get into the team he's playing for.
Yeah, it's never going to happen.
Wages are big as well.
It's not going to happen.
No, it's not going to happen at those rates. You might get him for a few million and then pay his wages.
And the last thing I'll say on it, like, I'm not going to mention the Vlahovic word. The difference with Mudryk and Vlahovic is Mudryk wants to come to the club. Vlahovic never wanted to come to the club. You know, he never wanted to come to the club. He made that clear. You know, this lad does want to come to the club.
He did want to at one stage. It was very early.
Vlahovic never wanted to come to the club.
He did. He did.
Jonathan, he wanted to go to Juventus.
He wanted to go to London, and look, it didn't happen.
He might have wanted to go to London for Hamleys to see the trains.
Winter Wonderland.
But what I'm saying is that just a little bit of caution here, right? If people think that we are competing with Man City money-wise or Newcastle money, we're not, right? No. And I just remember supporters who are not old enough to remember Leeds United chasing the dream, right? And people say, oh, go chase the dream. We're in the position now, go chase the dream. Leeds United chased the dream and ended up 2 divisions down, had to sell all of their players because they went bankrupt.
Yeah, but we know that's sensible. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I refer back to the Martinez, where we walked away from it, and that was obviously the player that he wanted.
Mm.
But he walked away, and that's credit where credit's due.
Yeah.
Ozzy, what do you think yourself on the transfer? Do you think we get Felix or Mudryk or?
I'm kind of with Eamon what he said there. There's the Felix, I think it's nonsense. I think if you're going to willing to pay that much money, he's going to, for stars, if you're doing him on a 5-month loan, he's going to take 3 months, 4 months, probably get used to the Premiership. So actually, what you're doing is just training, probably bulking someone up for that time. And by the time he's good, we've done it a few times, though, haven't we? We've done it with Dennis Suarez, was it?
Suarez.
Yeah, I remember Dennis Suarez.
We did it with him as well, and I just don't see the point in those sort of 6-month loans to
Julio Baptista. Remember Julio Baptista? We did. Awful.
But so yeah, so for that, for the Mudryk, it's you know, I appreciate you know, people have watched him and they're saying he's a great player. He's not probably going to affect this season as much as people think he will. He won't come straight in and hit the ground running. I think we need to appreciate that if we do bring someone in, it'll probably take him a good few months to get used to the Prem. As most players do. It's very rare. If he does, I'll eat my hat and you can figure out a fine for me or something like that. But yeah, no, you know, it's I'll just put full trust in the club. I think the club have shown but they know what they're doing. We are the Arsenal, and we shouldn't be held to ransom, and it's as simple as that. Let's keep we talk about class and Arsenal being a classy club, so let's not let people take us for a ride in professional sense as well. So we could offer what we offered so far. What have we offered so far? Is that?
A ride means something different over
really
here.
Going on, isn't it?
So how much have we offered for him? Because if we could stick £1 on that in typical Wenger fashion, I think that might be the end of the deal. But yeah, why not?
Nobody knows. That's what I was saying. No one knows.
No, exactly. Just leave it to the club. Let them deal with it. And
I'm sure that they haven't only got one guy in mind, you know.
No, of course not.
they'll have a list, won't they? We saw that on the documentary, didn't we? That they had a list.
Yeah.
Priority list, and they had it numbered off. We could see that in the documentary. That's what they're doing. So there is going to be a second, third, fourth choice.
There was some talk about some Mexican guy today, some Mexican winger.
Don't ask me to pronounce his name, mate.
I'm not even going there. Alejandro.
No, Edu hasn't, over the last couple of transfer windows, it's safe to say, we've said it before in previous episodes, we haven't got many of the transfer business wrong in the last season or two. You know, they've been handpicked. You can see that, and I'm sure we'll get a bargain from somewhere. We definitely won't be held to ransom on that one. Like 85 million for an untried player in Europe. You know,
please, Jonathan, can you put an appeal out to all our listeners, all 5 of them, and if we don't get Mudryk, stop the meltdown.
Like we're when you think about it, we're in a position where it's ours to lose now, the league title. It's only going one way.
We can't.
It's only going one way, lads.
Yeah, but you could lose it. You could lose it by spending. You could lose it by spending 90 million on some mug who can't adapt to the Premiership. You know.
Yes. Look, Eamon. Look at the transfer. The £72 million we wasted on Pepe. Are we ready to spend more and hopefully not another player of, you know?
Can I just add, look, if he signs for Chelsea, do you remember the meltdown the Liverpool fans had over Timo Werner?
Yeah.
Look at it like that. Timo Werner was the hottest prospect in Europe, playing in the German league. He came to Chelsea. They overpaid for him over Liverpool, snapped him off their hands, and look what happened to him. He went back. So who knows what will happen with him? Let's see.
I think if anything, if he does come to us, he's got a great friend in Zinchenko there at Arsenal, you know, and he thinks really highly of him. So
and Zinchenko's wife.
There you go. It's a win-win situation there.
There's a soap opera in this. Bobby Ewing is going to come without a shirt. Morning. Right, lads, are we done? We watched it.
Yeah, I think we are, aren't we? 0-0 at the bridge.
Yeah,
half time.
I'm going to put a bet on.
0-0 at half time between Chelsea and City. So, fingers crossed that says the same for the next 45 minutes.
It's been a good game.
Pep Guardiola said they'll have to play 100% in every game now to overtake us. There's the mockers on it already.
1-0 City.
Yeah, look, jeez, don't say that. That's Brendan's last appearance on the show. A comment like that.
I'm banned now as well.
I'd just like to say before we wrap up, lads, I'd like to dedicate the show, like I've done in the last two, to the D15 Suicide Awareness and to Aware.ie here. And if Ozzy, you'd like to mention any charities from the UK anytime during the show that you feel like that's appropriate and you'd like to feel free to, Ozzy.
That's great. No, thank you. I'll keep some in mind. I
think it's always nice to mention any sort of charity, you know, that's close to people. So they're the two charities there for us. Thanks to Eamon, Brendan and Carl as always. And we'll be back next Tuesday to review the Oxford game and then to the big North London derby that Sunday against Tottenham Hotspur. So until then, lads, have a good week and thanks for listening.
Come on, you guys.
Come on, you're going to slong for it.